So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was going to give birth and she would, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
Were they trying to hijack her? Were these blacks trying to go rob her? Happening all the time in urban America. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. It's happening more and more. You have to wonder, and I know this sounds a little cruel, but is this WNBA privilege? That if you're a WNBA pot-smoking black lesbian, do you get treated better than a United States Marine?
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Do you think that there should be free school lunch for all children?
No.
Why?
Of course not. Because parents should feed their kids, not the government.
What if they can't?
Go get a job. I don't believe
they have jobs and they can't support their children there because the minimum wage is so low.
No, you are a dumb dude. Don't give me this stuff.
But maybe one of the reasons why Taylor Swift has been so kind of annoyingly liberal over the last couple of years is that she's not yet married and she doesn't have children. I say this non-sarcastically. I hope that America's biggest pop star marrying the pharmaceutical spokesperson ends up conservatizing them. Taylor Swift might de-radicalize herself. She might come back down to reality. I want them to have lots of children. Taylor Swift might go from a cat lady to a J.D. Vance supporter, and I think we should celebrate that. I think that Taylor Swift having 2 or 3 children, she should have more children than she has houses. That is my challenge, Taylor Swift, and I'm not being sarcastic. I think that if she ends up having children, she'll stop this kind of liberal endorsing Joe Biden nonsense. We want you to leave the island of the wokies. Wait, that's not a great role model for young women, to wait all the way until you're 35 and just put your career first. This is something that I hope will make Taylor Swift more conservative. Engage in reality more and get outside of the abstract clouds. Reject feminism. Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge. You got to change your name. If not, you don't really mean it.
So, as you can see, Charlie Kirk was very much a hateful lunatic. If you aren't an American straight Christian white man, Charlie would have definitely said something against you and would want some, if not all, your human rights to be taken away. Emphasis on straight, because people are putting this man on a pedestal and painting him as the best, most supportive gay ally. Just because he had no problem with some self-hating gays joining his conservative cult and becoming Republican.
So I want to get away with this idea that you're gay anything. I just think that we have gone a long way in the negative direction in this country, where we act as if the most important part of your identity is what you do in the bedroom.
According to Charlie and his brain-dead supporters, being gay simply boils down to what someone does in the bedroom. These homophobes try to paint homosexual people as sexual deviants, yet are the ones whose minds immediately goes to sex every single time they hear that someone is gay. It's a sexual orientation, a fundamental aspect of who someone is attracted to, romantically and sexually, and affects several things in one's life. Several statistics show that for lesbians and gay men, our sexual orientation is a huge factor in our lives and extremely important to our overall identity. Several gay people have experienced homelessness, violent hate crimes, bullying to the point of self-unaliving, all just for being gay. But Charlie here and other privileged straight people wouldn't know or care about that. They just want us to quote-unquote stop making it our personality, as if that's not how we're treated to begin with.
It doesn't mean that much to me, but if you ask from a perspective as a Christian, I don't agree with that lifestyle. I might not agree at that for some of the lifestyle choices that some people make.
One question that these homophobes can never answer when I ask them is that how is sexual orientation a lifestyle? What is this quote-unquote lifestyle that you don't agree with exactly? And what makes you think all gay people are living this exact lifestyle that you reject so much? They can never give an answer that isn't just homophobic stereotypes.
I believe marriage is between one man and one woman. But if you ask me, what do I have hate in my heart for somebody that doesn't choose the lifestyle that I believe that God laid out in the scriptures? Of course not.
Saying marriage should be just between man and a woman, and then saying being gay is something people choose to be. Yet there are people trying to convince you that this man wasn't a homophobe.
So you do not hate the LGBT community,
No,
and Turning Point is not against LGBT.
No,
How could he say yes? Anyone with a brain knows you can't just say you hate a certain minority group, especially if you're trying to win them to your side. He knew if he said yes to that question, it would expose him for what he really was, so he obviously had to lie. He also called stoning gay people God's perfect law.
Is in Leviticus 18 is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be stoned to death. Just saying. So, Miss Rachel, you quote Leviticus 19, love your neighbor as yourself. The chapter before affirms God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matters.
Yet I'm supposed to believe he wasn't a raging homophobe? Now unto the real controversy of the whole situation. A lot of people are defending Charlie by saying he didn't deserve what happened to him because all he did was speak. Here's why anyone who makes that statement is ignorant. That man constantly preached and promoted hate towards women, gay people, and several other minority groups. A lot of people don't seem to understand how hate speech eventually turns into a hate crime. Countless hate crimes are being committed every single day by men who were radicalized online by these misogynistic and homophobic conservative figures. Like when the constant online misogyny and demonization of Taylor Swift, who has a fan base primarily made up of women and girls, actually led to the violent misogynistic attacks of said women and girls in her fan base. The more these men are allowed to continue to spread hatred of oppressed minorities, the more those minorities will inevitably pay the price for their messages. The only people that truly believe speech can't lead to violence are the people that aren't affected by it. But he was a family man. So you're saying if he wasn't married or had kids, that's when you would have been fine with what happened to him? Don't the women and gay people who have been unalived because of the hate he contributed to have families as well? I didn't know Kirk's supporters saw those victims' lives as less than just because they didn't have kids and weren't married. If Charlie had political power, and considering he was friends with Trump, so he was definitely getting to that level, I'm sure the very first thing he would have done was to take away women's rights to bodily autonomy and illegalize same-sex marriage. He has said it himself that he can't stand the word empathy, so it doesn't make sense to give him any.
I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but
Charlie Kirk constantly spread ridiculous levels of misinformation and fake statistics that he could never back up with sources. Why do you think he only ever wanted to debate college kids? Because he knew that if he went up against actual professionals who actually had experience, he would have never been able to win in a debate against them.
99.9% of all abortions are abortion of election. The baby is perfectly healthy. The mom is perfectly healthy. 99% of all abortions are done just because people want the baby gone. 99%. That's not Charlie Kirk's numbers. That's the Guttmacher Institute, which was funded by Planned Parenthood.
So I looked up his claim and, yeah, he lied. What he said wasn't true at all.
Show me a single child in America going hungry. Doesn't exist. Number two, we have churches, we have food shelters, we have billions, and it does not exist. We have a child obesity problem, not a child starvation problem in this country. That 50% of our kids are obese or overweight. There's not a single kid in America that has died of starvation in the last 10 years. Show me that kid.
50%? Really? So what's your source for that, Charlie? Where did you get those numbers from? Well, I guess he can't answer that because he's,
That you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen.
I mean, it will if you just, got rid of all the guns.
You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, by having more armed guards in front of schools.
I have never in my entire life been to a school where there had to be armed guards outside, and I'm from a country that's not even as developed as the U.S., so that says a lot.
We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one.
Kirk supporters are the same people who right now are talking about no one deserves violence because of an opinion. Yet here they are inciting violence and sending threats to anyone with an opinion that doesn't fit their narrative. Here they are fighting at the Idaho Capitol after a man drove through the vigil on a scooter yelling, "F Charlie Kirk." Charlie Kirk was supposedly a champion of free speech, yet his supporters are firing anyone who say otherwise. A lot of Charlie Kirk supporters jumped to the conclusion that he was assassinated because of his opinions, way before anyone even knew who the killer was. They already made the assumption that it was a leftist or a person of color, but it was later revealed that the man who shot him, Tyler Robinson, is not affiliated with any political party. So his motivations are still unclear, and anyone who claims to know is simply just pushing their agenda. Some people are even trying to push the narrative that Kirk and Irina Zarutska were unalived by the same group with the same ideology for the same reasons, which is clearly not true. Irina Zarudska was a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee fleeing from Russian genocidal invasion. She was the victim of a misogynistic and racist hate crime at the hands of a repeat offender, and the people who were around her during the attack did nothing to help. Charlie Kirk, on the other hand, was advocating for the Russian occupation of Ukrainian territories. They're not the same. I keep seeing a lot of women with the mindset of, maybe if we show empathy to misogynists and are nice to them, they'll be nice to us back. This is a level of naivety I can't believe still exists. Just because these people would debate you doesn't mean they actually care about or respect your opinion. If Charlie Kirk and other men had it their way, all of us women would be living like the women in Afghanistan right now. Women who have sympathy for misogynistic men are one of the main reasons they always get away with misogyny. Charlie Kirk and his supporters would not mourn for you. They wouldn't cry for you if what happened to him happened to you. We need to start being more transactional. Loving your enemies and supporting your enemies is insanely asinine. They sabotage us and ignore our suffering, so we should do the same.